We dismiss history at our peril.
Liberty Nation Radio with Mark Angelides.
A leaked draft of the Supreme Court ruling that appears ready to do away entirely with Roe v. Wade and by extension Planned Parenthood v. Casey has set the cat among the pigeons. We have Democrats clamoring to make political hay out of it in hopes of staving off almost certain midterm defeat. Talking heads telling us that this is the death knell for freedom in America. And yet above all the noise and sound and fury, it seems that few people have actually stopped to examine precisely what this ruling means. Here's a clue. It's not what the legacy media pundits are telling us it is. It's time to pull back the curtain and see past the spin machine. Welcome back to Liberty Nation Radio here on the Radio America Network. I'm your host, Mark Angelides. We have a special edition Roe v. Wade show for you today, where we discuss the political, constitutional, and legal fallout of the Supreme Court leak and what that means for America. If you want facts, analysis, and clear thinking on the topic that is significant in its ability to bring on paroxysms of hysteria, you've definitely come to the right place. This is going to be a huge show, so buckle up. I want to take a moment to say a special thank you to our listeners out in Dalton, Georgia on WBAC 1340 AM. Thank you for being here. And remember, this show is proudly sponsored by LibertyNation.com, where you can access podcasts, breaking news, analysis, and a range of biting and brilliant shows to whet your appetite for freedom and your fondness for the great American Constitution. With the leak of the Roe v. Wade opinion, naturally, politicians have come out of the woodwork seeking to raise funds and bolster their 2022 chances. As one of the most politically divisive issues in the nation, just how much impact will this have? Well, we're fortunate enough to be joined by Liberty Nation's editor-in-chief, Lisa K. Donner, to dig into the immediate political happenings. Welcome back and thanks for being here, Lisa.
Happy to do it, Mark. How are you today?
Not too bad. It's all excitement in the news business, which is both a good and a bad thing. So tell me, is this a Willy Wonka golden ticket for Democrats?
Well, they want it to be. They came right out of the gate, bursting. I mean, the DNC, the Democratic National Committee, within moments of the Politico release of the draft opinion of Alito's overturning Roe versus Wade, they were like, give to the Democrats, save abortion, safe legal abortion everywhere. I mean, they see it as, their ticket in November to the midterms. I fear they may be overstating the case.
It's funny that you say safe legal abortion is on all the flyers, and I've noticed that on a lot of the begging letters and emails that come through. What they don't have on there, though, is safe, legal, and rare.
That's interesting that you picked that up. I was just going to say that. That was their talking point years ago.
It was, yeah. That appears to be out the window now. So that's one down and two to go, according to this one. So let's talk about the actual leak, Lisa. You wrote an article on LibertyNation.com where you discussed the motivation of the person committing the leak. Care to expand a little on that?
Well, there's theories and speculation for both sides, but I think we can safely put this to rest. Mark, it's not that big a universe. The Supreme Court is a small, insular place. I can't imagine that somebody didn't leave even the slightest digital trail. Apparently, if they actually did spirit out a real paper draft, that would be odd. Apparently, all the drafts get put through a shredder vertically, then they get put through the shredder horizontally, then they get made into some kind of a slurry. I mean, it's really hard to, I think, walk with a draft opinion. I think they're going to catch this person relatively soon, if not before, when this airs.
Well, I mean, if this does come to the FBI investigation that Chief Justice John Roberts has requested, it really...
No. Just to be clear, he requested the court-martial investigate. I do not believe he requested the FBI.
Sorry, you're absolutely right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. But really, it would just be a case of checking or asking Politico, did somebody engage in sending you this? If so, was it somebody you know?
But then you get into, reporters and sources and going to jail. And, I don't think they want to go that way when it's so much easier to get the real person. And let's face it, we're talking about 9 staffs, very small. I just don't see this.
Yeah, and apparently Adam Schiff wasn't anywhere near the building that day.
Well, let me just pivot a little bit towards the politics of this, because I really think That's what this entire story is all about. I think that's what the leak was about, and I think, it's very politically motivated. So let's take, for instance, the new Fox News poll that came out this week. They're predicting not a red wave, but a red tsunami. And so is everyone else. The Democrats know that. They're aware of that. So the models show, Fox's models show that the Republicans are going to pick up 44 seats in the House and 11 in the Senate. That is a tsunami,
Well, especially the Senate. That's crazy. 11 seats.
Yeah, well, and so that sets up the House and the Senate for, the presidential race, and then, they might be facing Trump, which really scares the bejesus out of them. But the most interesting thing about that Fox poll was the top concerns of Americans: future of the U.S., inflation, future democracy, political divisions. Abortion was not one of the top concerns.
So you don't think it will be the igniting force that the Democrats hope it will be?
Well, they want it to be. They're desperate to be, but I don't think so. Because I heard Kellyanne Conway talking about it. She has a long history. She's a pollster. That was her business. That's how she met Trump. She's a very savvy pollster. And she said, this is not a binary issue. It's complicated. It involves law, morality, religion, politics, and the Democrats love one-step thinking. They hate absolutes. They don't, people in Americans in general don't like absolutes. They don't respond well to always, never, abolish, overturn, So if abortion was such a hot issue, why weren't the Dems talking about it before yesterday, Mark?
Well, that's a good point. Actually, in 2019, Joe Biden tweeted out that if he were president, he would codify Roe v. Wade into law, or make it codified into law. And obviously, he hasn't done a single thing with that during his honeymoon period. And now it seems with Congress, both houses in the balance, that he's not going to be able to do it at all anyway. And yet they're hoping that this will be the impetus that will give them an increase in seats, which is practically unheard of.
I think the Dems run a risk making abortion, a very high profile issue, because it may galvanize the left, but it's certainly going to galvanize the right.
Yeah. So do you think this decision, if it turns out to be the actual decision from Justice Alito, do you see it as almost a sea change in how people will view abortion in America?
No. And, Mark, I think the Democrats think Americans are stupid, but I don't think they are. They understand that this is federalism. I mean, one thing that we should point out every time we discuss this issue is overturning Roe versus Wade does not end abortion in America. The left wants you to believe that it will, but that's not the truth. It throws it to the individual states to decide. It's classic federalism. Now, if people can cross state lines to buy booze, if they can cross state lines to take a vacation, if they can cross state lines to pick up Aunt Helen who's got gallstones, then they can
It always comes back to Aunt Helen.
Yeah, then they can cross state lines for an abortion. I think Americans understand that.
Yeah, and obviously you've got states that are very keen to put out their abortion-friendly bona fides, with California, for example, saying that it's putting together a fund so it can pay for people to travel to California to receive abortions. So it's not as though that there's not going to be any abortion.
That's better than the American taxpayer paying, Look, and
that's the Californian taxpayer paying, certainly.
Yeah, and the argument that it doesn't benefit, that it's particularly difficult for poor people, overturning Roe versus Wade, just doesn't hold up to water, because the states, with the biggest urban populations are going to agree to provide abortions, and like you said, they'll even, some of them, find ways to pay for it.
Absolutely. Lisa K. Donna, thank you ever so much for joining us.
Thank you, Mark.
Later in the show, we have a special extended Talking Liberty segment where we dig deep into the legal aspects of Roe v. Wade being overturned. But up next, we're joined by Jim Fight to discuss the constitutional ramifications. Don't go anywhere. We dismiss history at our peril.
Liberty Nation Radio with Mark Angelides.
We're doing it for real, really real. Liberty Nation.
And Jeff Charles, contributor for LibertyNation.com.
I think we're starting to make an impact. Liberty style, fight for freedom.
Daily tracking poll sponsored by Liberty Nation for Thursday.
Mentioned by Dan Bongino, Rasmussen, Jordan Peterson, and
I
others.
can do it again if you want me to.
Cited in Mark Levin's American Marxism.
I think we're starting to make a really big impact. Get noticed. We're doing it. Rock on. I'm gone.